There are some new features coming to the popular NodaTime library that will make it a lot easier to use with Asp.NET Core. Let's mash on that.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Asp.NET Monsters. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at some new features of NodaTime. Take it away.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar, I can't remember if we've done an episode on NodaTime
Oh
before.
my gosh, if we haven't, we should do 6.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So if you don't know, NodaTime is a pretty popular library out there that, as it says on the site, is a better date and time API for .NET. So a lot of the struggles that we have with managing date times and dealing with time zone offsets and all these things that are just issues with date times can be at least alleviated by using the NodaTime library. And one of the things that it does really well is provides a series of types for you that are, I guess, a lot more specific than the generic date time that's available in .NET. One of the things I use it for a lot is the local date type, which is just the date in local to whatever time zone that you're talking about. Just a local date like today or yesterday or a specific month, day, year, and not dealing with time zones and not dealing with specific time. And I use that a lot for queries, for example. So we might have a UI somewhere where the user inputs a date and they just want to see all the data for that day. They don't care about the time. And we often run into a lot of issues, especially when we're talking about some kind of JavaScript front end that's trying to pass that date over to a .NET backend. And we end up with the date getting shifted however many hours your time zone is offset because JavaScript adds the time zone stuff on there or doesn't, or however, it depends how you serialized it. It gets deserialized into .NET and all of a sudden it's shifted depending on the time of day to a completely different day. It's a super common error that I have come across often and was actually fighting with today. So what I did was pulled in NodaTime because I like to use that library, that local date type. So we'll do that now. And we're going to pull in the most recent stable release. And I'm just going to show the problem that we have today with using this in Asp.NET Core. So I have NodaTime in here now. I'm going to create an endpoint here that says local date. Start date, we'll call it. This is what I would like to do, is have a route defined here where I'm binding start date as part of my URL. And I would like that to just automatically get bound to a local date instance so that I can, in here, then go and get the things that are related to that particular day. So if I go and run this, what was my endpoint? It was API/values/. Now, when you're dealing with these local dates, and you're serializing them, you always do it in the ISO or ESO. Hear my pronunciation?
Yeah, I'll let the ISO get away with that one.
Okay. So anyway, in ISO format, which is year-day-month. And what I'm getting here is an error 415. Server responded with status 415, which I assume has something to do with it not being able to bind that that value over to a start date. Now we could go and build a custom binder here that knew how to deal with local dates and did what it needed to do so that could happen, but that's a huge pain. I really don't want to do that. So what was recently introduced, and they're kind of waiting for .NET Core 3 to come out for them to fully release this, but they did release a beta package so that we can start testing it. And what they did with the new version 3 that will be coming out soon of NodaTime is added type converters for every type that's in there. So there's a default type converter. And it turns out the way Asp.NET Core is built, it uses those, if there's a type converter defined for a type, it will use that in its binding. and then this should just flow through automatically now.
The heck does it find those? Reflective
That's
of
a
everything?
good question. I can't remember how type converters are defined, but maybe we'll have a peek at the code here and see. Okay, so we hit our breakpoint, and there's our date of
look at that.
September 10th, 2019. Magic.
Fantastic.
And it just works. And the nice thing about those type converters is that it works on the serialization side too. So when you're sending, if I'm serializing local dates and sending them back through JSON, those happen automatically now too, whereas previously we had to register special serialization configuration for all these types to make that work. So a lot of things will just work out of the box now with Asp.Net Core and NodaTime, which is great. It just alleviates some of the messiness that existed before to get that done. So you asked a really good question there, and I want to go look at NodaTime on GitHub. I'm expecting a link here, not finding it. NodaTime. So there is a PR, which is how I found this in the first place. You can search these, right?
I think so.
Might require me to spell type converter properly. Okay, let's see what they did here. Much tests.
That's what's important.
So it's with attributes you tell what the type converter is. So that makes it easy for the binding framework to pick it up then, because it just says, hey, for this type that you're looking for me to bind, is there a type converter defined for it? If there is, it uses it.
So sorts of interesting stuff in system.component model.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of this stuff that just enables your libraries to be really flexible and easy to use everywhere that people use them. It's interesting because like this stuff dates back to way before Core and like the very early days of .NET. So it's always interesting kind of looking at some of those things that survived from well, almost everything has survived, but those things that still really work really well that are from the original design of .NET.
Yeah, there's certainly some namespaces that I never ever use and probably never use very infrequently, and there's others that I'm in there every day.
Yep. Pretty cool. So that's it for today. We should definitely do some follow-up episodes on a little bit more NodaTime stuff, though, because there's a lot of really good things in there.
Yeah, dates and times are immensely complicated. I'm super glad that there was a library for it.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on another episode. Remember to like, comment, share, and feel free to retweet us, but make sure you schedule the tweets at some point in the future. And you can use NodaTime to figure out what that time is.
Awesome. Bye.